Thanks for joining us for CBN News Today. I'm Charlene Israel.
And I'm Ephraim Graham. The Supreme Court hears one of the biggest religious freedom cases in our history. At issue is whether a small town in New York can begin government meetings with prayer. George Thomas takes a look at the implications of the case.
The High Court is weighing a federal appeals ruling that the Rochester, New York suburb of Greece violated the Constitution because nearly every prayer before town council meetings in an 11-year period were overtly Christian. One of the residents who prayed at the meetings was Pastor Patrick Medeiros.
In my prayers, I have asked God to bless our community, to bless our leaders, to grant them divine wisdom as they do the people's business there in our community.
But Aisha Khan of Americans United for Separation of Church and State called the prayers unconstitutional.
Participating in one's local government is a universal right of citizenship. It should not be conditioned on recitation of the Lord's Prayer or participation in any other prayer that is unique to a particular faith tradition.
Supporters of the town prayer say even atheists were invited to offer invocations. The justices' comments and questions indicated a majority did not agree with the appeals court ruling that the town prayers were unconstitutional.
The other side's arguments would require government to censor prayers, to decree what is orthodox and what is not when prayer givers are giving public prayer, and that would be contrary to our traditions of religious liberty.
The discussions between the justices were at times spirited.
Justice Kagan was asking some pretty pointed questions about particular prayers that were offered at the Greece Town Council meetings, including explicitly Christian prayers, and that seemed to trouble her deeply, as it did a couple of the other justices.
One solution put forth by the plaintiffs was to come up with a generic prayer that eliminated references to any religion.
The idea that you can come up with some kind of general prayer that everyone will be happy with is virtually impossible. And at the end, Justice Kagan, who started out quite negative, seemed to agree with that position.
Those who defend religious liberty in America say in the end, such cases have a much bigger agenda.
The end game, first of all, in this situation is to eliminate all public prayers. But I think the bigger picture is the attack on religious liberty, that they simply want to censor anyone of faith who speaks out in the public square.
A decision is expected by late June. George Thomas, CBN News.
President Obama is now trying to reassure members of his own party about his health care plan as problems with the website drag on. On Wednesday, the president heard complaints from 16 Senate Democrats who are up for re-election next year. They're worried that the botched rollout of Obamacare could hurt their chances. Earlier on Capitol Hill, Health and Human Services Secretary Kathleen Sebelius faced more tough questions from Republicans and Democrats. She pledged to fix healthcare.gov by November 30th, but warned that the first enrollment numbers will be low.
Why not shut down and do it right?
No more caveats, no more excuses, no more spin. Just give us the truth.
Well, I'm hoping that with the site improvement, we'll see more robust numbers.
Meanwhile, the HHS official who managed the government office that created healthcare.gov is stepping down.
This week, a federal judge will hear a suit by the Catholic Diocese of Pittsburgh over the Obamacare requirement that employers offer employees contraception and abortion coverage. The diocese argues the mandate removes First Amendment protections from church and schools and charities for the first time in history. The judge will determine whether to grant an injunction that would keep the church from having to comply with those requirements.
A lesbian couple in New York has filed a complaint against a wedding venue for refusing to book their wedding last year. The New York Civil Liberties Union representing the lesbian couple says Liberty Ridge Farm is a business open to the public and subject to the state's anti-discrimination laws. But a spokesman for the owners say the farm is a private business on private property. The owners believe marriage is one man and one woman, as in the Bible, and their constitutional freedom of religion trumps state law.
Evangelist Billy Graham turns 95 today, and he plans to ring in his next year by preaching what some predict could be his largest ever crusade. John Jessup recently sat down with Graham's son, Franklin, who told us to expect the most powerful message Billy Graham has ever delivered.
His mind is
Franklin Graham marvels that even at age 95, his dad Billy hasn't lost his touch. He calls Thursday's televised sermon truly anointed.
God has burdened my heart to use my energy to share this important message.
It is so powerful. It's like a grandfather talking to you, or your father talking to you, and his eyes just kind of pierce through the TV set right into the hearts of the people that are talking. It's the most, or the people that listen, it's the most powerful message I think I've heard my father give.
The crusade is called My Hope America. While it's aired in Latin America, this is the first broadcast to hit the States, a night when more than 200,000 volunteers open up their homes to friends, co-workers, and neighbors to watch Graham's pre-recorded message and testimonies from Christian music artists Lecrae and Lacey Sturm. After the telecast, the home hosts will share how Jesus gave them hope and invite others to make a life-changing decision.
It's my hope and my prayer and my father's prayer is that there will be many tens of thousands of people on November the 7th who will confess their sins to God, ask for His forgiveness, and by faith believe on the name of Jesus Christ.
Graham will take part too, surrounded by more than 800 guests at a birthday party in Asheville, North Carolina. Considered one of the world's most admired men, the preacher and pastor to presidents has also kept up with current events. In September, he wrote to Iran's new president asking for the release of American pastor Saeed Abedini.
I said, Daddy, I said, there's a pastor in Iran, and he's in prison because of his faith. And I would like to know if you would be willing to write a letter to the president of Iran to ask for this man's release. He's going to be in New York. And Daddy said, absolutely. He said, let's do it.
He also completed his latest book, The Reason for My Hope.
Your father writes in this new book, The Reason for My Hope, Salvation, that the purpose of the book was to share what he's learned in living nearly a century of unwavering assurance in being saved, that it's really about a hope and a salvation through Christ. Hasn't that really been his message all throughout his ministry?
It has, but you know, we are in danger of hell, and people are not calling on the name of Almighty God. You see, God is a God of judgment, and He is going to judge sin. Today, He wants to forgive sin. He's eager to forgive sin.
Graham says, considering his father's age and health, this week's crusade will likely be his last.
How is he doing?
You know, he's doing pretty good. And I think it's remarkable that he is able not only to write this book this year, but do this film, The Cross. So, I mean, he's been hard at work this year doing, you know, 2 major projects. So I'm proud of him.
I want to leave you with the truth that He loves you, willing to forgive you of all your sins.
John Jessup, CBN News.
Now you can go to cbnnews.com to find out when My Hope America airs in your area, or you can simply check your local listings.
Secretary of State John Kerry is extending his stay in the Middle East to make room for an additional meeting with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Kerry will return to Israel Friday. In Bethlehem on Wednesday, Kerry pledged that America will send an additional $75 million in aid to create Palestinian jobs and help them improve infrastructure. Kerry has brokered the restart of Israeli-Palestinian peace talks, but little progress has been made.
I'm concerned about their progress because I see the Palestinians continuing with incitements, continuing to create artificial crises, continuing to avoid and run away from the historic decisions that are needed to make a genuine peace.
Kerry arrived in Jordan today, where he will hold talks with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas.
Just weeks after suffering a devastating earthquake, the people of Bohol, Philippines are bracing for a major typhoon. The U.S. Navy says Typhoon Haiyan is packing 134-mile-per-hour winds and could get stronger before slamming into the eastern Philippines on Friday. It is the strongest tropical cyclone in the world this year, and officials are evacuating thousands from the area. Bohol is not in the direct path of the storm, but it will take a hit. More than 200 people died and thousands were left homeless there when a 7.2 earthquake struck back in October.
Coming up, a superpower gone silent. America stands idly by as Christians and other religious minorities suffer. Will the U.S. regain its voice and speak out for religious freedom?
Hi, my name is Breda. I'm just your typical 9-year-old. I love singing, dancing, reading, discovering the simple truth. My grandpa says you're never too young or old to learn the value of a dollar. He taught me the true value of this paper dollar. You see this little gold coin? It says $1 on it. But guess what? That was a long time ago. Today, this gold dollar is worth over 100 paper dollars. This paper dollar is now only worth 1 penny compared to America's former money, the gold dollar. My grandpa says the only money worth saving today is real money, gold or silver coins. He's pretty smart. How our paper dollars lost their value, he says. It's all explained in a new book, The Great Debasement. It's easy and fun to read. If you call the number on the screen, I will send you a copy totally free. Next time, I will explain the simple truth about money.
Help! If an emergency happened right now, you can have help at the push of a button with Medical Alert.
Remember when I took that fall, Mary?
Oh, yes, that was terrible.
Yes, it was.
Help!
And I thought, what if you hadn't been there? I ordered my Medical Alert the next day.
I can't describe how safe I feel now with my Medical Alert. You didn't know I was wearing it, did you?
Medical Alert is easy to install, waterproof, and covers you inside your home and out.
It helps me feel safe from fires, break-ins.
And of course, a Medical Alert. And if you don't have a home phone, don't worry. They have that covered.
There's always help at the push of a button. Don't wait till you need it.
Get Medical Alert for less than $1 a day. There are no long-term contracts. Order now and get your second button free. Call for your free brochure.
For your free Medical Alert system with second button free, call 800-575-8507.
Nigeria's president is asking legislators to extend a state of emergency in the country. This comes as 3 northeastern states are battling an Islamic uprising. One of the states, Borno, is the birthplace of the terrorist group Boko Haram. The group has killed hundreds of civilians and security forces in recent weeks. Boko Haram often targets Christian churches. The uprising poses the biggest threat in decades to the security of Nigeria, which is divided between the mainly Christian South and the predominantly Muslim North.
One way to stop radical religious terrorists is to promote religious freedom. That's the position of Dr. Thomas Farr. He's the director of the Religious Freedom Project at Georgetown University. But Farr says the U.S. hasn't done a very good job at promoting religious freedom in recent years. And with the recent resignation of the U.S. Ambassador for Religious Freedom, it could get worse. But he recently told CBN's Wendy Griffith that the resignation presents an opportunity for the president to turn things around.
Well, Tom, you say the resignation of Suzanne Johnson Cook presents the Obama administration with an opportunity. How so?
Well, there have been a lot of critics of the administration's policy on religious freedom, including myself. Here's an opportunity with 3 years left in the administration to appoint a dynamic diplomat, and there are plenty of candidates out there who can really do something with this office, do something with the policy. A number of things have to be done to make that happen, but personnel is the first step in a good policy. So I think it's important that they move quickly and find somebody that, as I say, has some diplomatic experience, committed to religious freedom, and can turn this policy around, because it really needs it. We've got a big problem in the world, Wendy.
Why is standing up for religious freedom so important to U.S. foreign policy, especially right now?
Well, there are 2 reasons. One is it's the right thing to do, and that's something that Americans should not have to be convinced of. It's the first freedom, something we've stood for historically, not just for Americans, but for all people, not just for one faith, but for all faiths. So it's the right thing to do, and it reflects who we are as a people. But beyond that, religious freedom, if we can advance it around the world successfully, will have a couple of very important effects on our national security. For one thing, if you'll think of Egypt, for example, or if you like Pakistan, Iraq, or any of the other countries in the world that are struggling to have stable democracies, it won't work without religious freedom. And we have utterly failed to make the case to them. It's a very practical case. It has nothing to do with theology or your religion or mine. It is that if you can't get this religious freedom business straight, you're going to fail at democracy. If you want to undermine religion-related terrorism, you got to have religious freedom. We need to convince people of that because it's true.
Well, let me ask you this. How would you rate the Obama administration's commitment to religious freedom so far?
Well, you know, we have a new Secretary of State, John Kerry, relatively new. We want to give him a chance. And so what I have to say is not really his responsibility, but if you look around the world, it's difficult to think, or at least I cannot think of one country in the world where U.S. religious freedom policy has either reduced religious persecution or increased religious freedom. That's a sad record, and for the most powerful country in the world, the country that has touted religious freedom as the first freedom. So let's hope that with this new ambassador, with the new Secretary of State, that things will turn around. I want to be hopeful about it.
Dr. Thomas Farr, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Up next, she was 10 years old when a single shot to the heart ended her life. This little girl was the victim of the worst violence against Christians in 700 years. Her parents' remarkable response to her death is coming up next.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
An Egyptian court upheld a ban on the Muslim Brotherhood in the country Wednesday. The ruling allows the government to confiscate the group's assets and uproot its political network. It's part of a larger crackdown against the Muslim Brotherhood since the military removed President Mohamed Morsi from power.
It has been 4 months since Egyptians chased President Mohamed Morsi from office, but many Muslims still blame Christians for that uprising. Egypt's Coptic Christians face attacks almost every day. As George Thomas reports, they're deeply worried about the future.
July 3rd, 2013. As the sun sets over Cairo, hundreds of thousands of Egyptians celebrate in Tahrir or Liberation Square. It was game over for Mohamed Morsi.
The Chief Justice of the Supreme Constitutional Court will rule the country during the transitional period.
Mohamed Morsi was an Islamist leader who had big dreams for Egypt.
As Egypt's first democratically elected Islamist president, Morsi also led the radical Muslim Brotherhood. But after just 1 year in office, Egyptians had had enough. Boulos Gerges joined the millions demanding he step down.
The Muslim Brotherhood believed Morsi was going to bring back the glory of Islam, purify Egypt of non-Muslims and turn it into an Islamic country.
That worried Boulos because he's part of the 10% or so of Egypt's population that is Christian.
Everyone knew we were also protesting against the Morsi government.
Samir Abashkeron, a prominent Egyptian Christian, believes Morsi's removal was nothing short of a miracle.
Christians felt like a heavy burden had been removed from our nation. We could never have imagined that such an outcome was possible, but we prayed and God answered.
But then came the Islamic threats.
We started hearing messages on television, in mosques and on the streets, people saying they were going to kill Christians for demonstrating against Morsi and the Brotherhood. They said our family, our children, our homes and businesses would be targets.
And it turned out Egyptian Christians had every reason to be concerned.
The streets were quiet that evening. I remember there weren't too many cars on the road, not a lot of people walking around.
Boulos' wife was at home the evening they got the call that changed their lives forever.
My friend was screaming on the phone, "Jesse has been shot. Jesse has been shot."
The day was August 6th, around 7:15 in the evening. Jesse had just walked out of church, having finished 9 days of a 10-day vacation Bible school. She had walked down this very street, came to this spot that I'm standing at, and one single shot to the heart ended her life.
Jessie was our only little child. She was a wonderful person.
She was only 10 years old.
When she turned 10, I could see our little girl slowly turning into a beautiful young lady. She was my daughter. She was my friend.
Though no one has claimed responsibility, Jessie's parents believe that she was killed because of her faith.
Because we supported Morsi's removal and the army's crackdown on the Brotherhood, radical Muslims are now like bombs, ready to explode against Christians.
That fury exploded days after Jessie's murder. On August 14th, hours after the army violently broke up 2 Brotherhood protest camps in Cairo, Morsi sympathizers launched revenge attacks against Christians. And when it was all over, they had destroyed more than 200 Christian-owned properties, some 43 churches seriously damaged. Shops, businesses, cars, and homes belonging to Christians were also targeted. Most of the attacks happened in central Egypt. It was the worst organized violence against Christians in 700 years. Dr. Sama Sadek, a Regent University grad and native of Egypt, says authorities did little to stop the attacks or to identify those responsible. Sadek is based in the US and travels frequently to Egypt. CBN News met him in Cairo while he ministered to pastors who had lost church buildings during the assault.
Most of the pastors affected are so poor, so the Lord helped us through our friends in America to meet some of their financial and physical needs. The pastors are grateful that people in the US stood beside them during their trials.
4 months after Morsi's removal, people here are worried about an Islamic-led insurgency against Christians and the new government. On October 21st, masked gunmen riding a motorcycle pulled up to a Christian wedding at a church in Cairo and killed 4 people, including an 8-year-old girl.
What is happening is targeting all of Egypt and not only the Christians. This is enough. People are getting sick and tired of this.
With the specter of Christian violence still rising, Boulos and his wife resolved to minister to their countrymen.
After Jesse's death, God gave us a bigger desire to pray for the terrorists and our country. Not just for Christians, but for Muslims too. Only God can open hearts and eyes to see truth and experience His love.
George Thomas, CBN News, Cairo.
Lord, we just pray for that family, those families who've loved ones, especially the 10-year-old.
Indeed, and to still have a heart to pray for your enemies. That's just beautiful to see.
That's God's way.
It is, it is. Stay with us, we're coming right back.
Grace, music is unpredictable.
I know I have what it takes.
The Dove Foundation raves. Grace Unplugged is remarkable and inspiring.
This is not about the music. It's about everything else that goes with it.
Dad, were you watching me?
A moving and meaningful film.
This book, his words shook me. It was like my whole world.
That parents and teens should see together, says Focus on the Family.
What are you gonna do? You're gonna drag her back home?
Yeah, I might. I think maybe you're fighting God. Just stop running.
Grace Unplugged, rated PG, now playing.
If you had a choice between going bald and a full head of hair, which would you choose? Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
Yes!
You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real, naturally growing hair. When it comes to hair restoration, no one in the world has more experience than Bosley. The results look completely natural and are affordable on nearly any budget. But the entire process can't be explained in 60 brief seconds. So to find out more about this clinically proven and permanent solution to hair loss, call now to receive your free no-obligation information kit. It'll answer all of your questions about hair loss and hair restoration. Plus, we'll also send you this $250 gift certificate just for calling. Every day you wait, you're losing more hair. So don't put it off any longer. You owe it to yourself to find out the facts. Choose hair. Choose Bosley.
Call 800-868-9957. That's 800-868-9957.
Grace, music is unpredictable.
I know I have what it takes.
The Dove Foundation raves. Grace Unplugged is remarkable and inspiring.
This is not about the music. It's about everything else that goes with it.
Dad, were you watching me?
A moving and meaningful film.
This book, his words shook me. It was like my whole world.
That parents and teens should see together, says Focus on the Family.
What are you gonna do? You're gonna drag her back home?
Yeah, I might. I think maybe you're fighting God. Just stop running.
Grace Unplugged, rated PG, now playing.
Finally, having one baby is a big transition. Having triplets, that's another story.
Indeed it is. A family in Indiana is getting ready to experience that firsthand for the second time. The Emberwitz just found out that they are expecting a second set of triplets. Bill and Sarah originally thought they wouldn't be able to have any children. After successful in vitro, they had a boy. After 3 years, they tried again and were surprised when they found out Sarah was pregnant with triplet boys. A year later, Sarah got pregnant a third time, and their jaws dropped when they saw the ultrasound.
We were hoping for a girl, and then of course they start to count, it's like 1, 2.
And he said, "What do you see?" And I said, "I see 2. He said, "Look again." And I said, "I see 3. And he said, "I see 3 too." I look at all these babies and I can't imagine doing anything else. I really can't. They are just, blessed.
And here's the sweet part. The triplets are girls. So we'll have 3 boys, 3 girls, and how beautiful. That is just wonderful to see.
Be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it in abundance.
Exceedingly above all we could ask or think.
That's going to do it for CBN News Today.
We'll see you right back here tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.
If you had a choice between going bald and a full head of hair, which would you choose? Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
Yes!
You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real, naturally growing hair. When it comes to hair restoration, no one in the world has more experience than Bosley. The results look completely natural and are affordable on nearly any budget. But the entire process can't be explained in 60 brief seconds. So to find out more about this clinically proven and permanent solution to hair loss, call now to receive your free no-obligation information kit. It'll answer all of your questions about hair loss and hair restoration. Plus, we'll also send you this $250 gift certificate just for calling. Every day you wait, you're losing more hair. So don't put it off any longer. You owe it to yourself to find out the facts. Choose hair. Choose Bosley.
Call 800-868-9957. That's 800-868-9957. Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.